Hello and welcome to my channel. I'm Rochelle Glendon. It is lovely to have you here. So today's video is going to be my first trimester pregnancy update. Today's Thursday. I will be 15 weeks on Saturday, so I thought before I forget and before first trimester becomes a distant memory, I wanted to record all the bits and pieces that I want to remember for my first trimester, and also just for if you're also pregnant that you might be interested in. And if you are pregnant or trying to conceive, please let me know down in the comments. I would love to know and connect with you. That would be lovely. See if I'm sharing this pregnancy journey with anyone as well. Yeah, so I found out I was pregnant just before we went on holiday to Hawaii. We were trying to conceive, so I knew immediately, but I didn't go to the doctor until I was, I think, 9 weeks, by which time I'd been experiencing morning sickness for 3 weeks. It kicked in just after we got home from Hawaii, so around the 6-week mark, and it was pretty consistent for a good 5 weeks. At that same time, Max was sick. It was rainy, it was kind of miserable, we were stuck inside. It was not a very nice time. But the clouds started to lift around I'd say around the 12-week mark or so. I started to have days where I wasn't throwing up. So the mornings has been when I've been the most nauseous, although I have had a few days where I've felt nauseous pretty much all day, and that's been really yucky. But I've been pretty lucky really, because in general I am kind of like, I do tend to actually throw up, in which case after that I tend to feel a lot better. So I've been sort of having breakfast a little bit later in the day, and unfortunately my appetite has been huge. So I don't actually own scales at home. So when I found out I was pregnant, I went straight down to the shops and put $2 in one of those weighing machines, and it told me that I was 63 kilos. So this was just before I went to Hawaii. And then when I went to see the doctor, yeah, I saw the doctor, my local GP, at around the 9-week mark, and he sent me off for blood tests, and he gave me a referral to see an obstetrician, and I went to see the obstetrician around 2 weeks later, when I was 11 weeks pregnant, and I weighed myself then, and I was 67.8 kilos. So I haven't weighed myself since then, but yeah, so I would be approximately, I would say I've at least gained another kilo, if not 2. So I've gained around 5 or 6 kilos already. So it's not looking good for this pregnancy. But mind you, I did also gain a lot of weight in the first half of my pregnancy with Max, and that's when my stomach started to get bigger, and I started to get indigestion and heartburn, and I found that I couldn't eat as much. So maybe it's going to be the same this time around, I don't know. Yeah, so apart from that, I have been getting my energy back recently. It's been about 4 days since I've had a spew. I was feeling a bit yucky this morning, but that went away. But yeah, so feeling a lot better, getting quite good sleeps as well, which is nice. And when it's not a work day, I do tend to have a nap with Max. When I got my when I saw her, she gave me a referral to get the nuchal scan, which now also involves a blood test. I don't really remember if I had the blood test when I was pregnant with Max, but this time around I had a blood test and went to get the scan, and Rolly couldn't come with me because he was away for work. So I went into the scan and they measured me up, like did all the, you know, scanny bits. And then after they'd done that, I think that took about half an hour, they went away and they said, we'll come back in a minute. And they came back and they said, I'm really sorry to tell you, but you've got a high risk rating for Down syndrome. At which point I totally freaked out. But in my mind I was like, okay, stay calm. She said, you've got a 1 in 200 chance of this baby having Down syndrome, and partly because of your age, because you're over 30, but also, and she said, like, when you're over 30, your risk factor is 1 in 400 anyway, which is still considered low. It's like over 1 in 300, which is then becomes high. But she said that the baby's neck fold, the fluid on the back of the neck or whatever, is a little bit too thick. So I thought, well, if it's too thick, then that means that there's something wrong. That, you know, my baby's actually, you know, got something wrong with it. And so I sort of remained calm and thought, it's okay. I called Rolly, and yeah, it was okay, and we decided just to chill out. He was coming back later that afternoon, so I thought, well, when he gets home, I'll call the doctor, because when I call the doctor to say that, you know, the scan results came back with a high risk, then it's real. So I needed a little bit of time to process it, and I also just needed to have Rolly with me, I think. Anyway, he got home around lunchtime, and luckily Max was at daycare that day. Anyway, the doctor's office ended up calling me before I had a chance to call them, and they said, can you come in tomorrow morning to see the doctor to talk about your results? And I said, well, we're going to Adelaide in the morning. We had a long weekend away in Adelaide to visit Rolly's brother, so we're going on a plane in the morning. I can't come in until Monday. And they said, well, all right, well, the doctor really needs to see you. Can you come in this afternoon? If you can come in this afternoon, we can double book you and just slot you in when, you know, there's a break. And of course, Rolly and I were like, uh-oh, this is bad, like there's something wrong with our baby. Anyway, I got to the doctor's, and they had a spot like almost immediately. I went in, and I sat down, and he said, did they let you know the results? And I just started crying, and he said, no, it's okay. I was expecting you to already be crying before you came in. Like, don't worry about it. Yes, you have come back with a high risk, but it is only a scan, like a screening. So it doesn't mean that there is something wrong with your baby. We need to do further tests. And there's this new test which wasn't available when I was pregnant with Max, as far as I know. I think it came out not long after he was born. Anyway, yes, so it's called the Harmony test, and it's just a blood test. All they do is they take your blood and they separate your baby's chromosomes out from your blood, and they see if there's any birth defects. Like, they're testing for different chromosome abnormalities, and it'll take about a week, maybe 10 days to get the results back. So we went away to Adelaide, which was really good to have that distraction, because I was quite worried, and Rolly was quite worried. Luckily enough, they called me, the same doctor called me back on Tuesday morning, which was really quick, and said, look, your results have come back. Just want to let you know everything is okay. You are 100% clear. You've got no risk whatsoever. The baby's fine. It's just one of those things where the skin fold is just outside of normal, and it's just a red flag, but it turns out that it's nothing to worry about. So I have never been more relieved about anything in my life. Rolly and I were just so beside ourselves, like we were just so relieved, and it really gave me a bit of a reality check about, you know, I was quite complacent actually. My pregnancy with Max, like, he never registered. There was nothing apart from like physical like pain from being pregnant, you know, towards the end and everything. I didn't really have anything outside of normal. He was just the chillest little baby in there, and all was happy. So yeah, to get that sort of scare, it really knocked me and Rolly, and yeah, we just total reality check of like how grateful we are to have our family's health. And it's just, yeah, really given us some perspective about life, I guess. It's just one of those things that just makes you really appreciate what you do have. And so in hindsight, I'm really glad that it happened, because it made me realize just how lucky we are. So yeah. So I can really feel for families going through health scares and health problems with little ones and things like that. It really made me sad, and because of that I immediately went out and sponsored a child through the Smith family. So we've got a little sponsored child now. He is a little boy that goes to school in Tasmania. He's from a disadvantaged family, and we're providing his schooling. We're paying school fees for him, make sure he's got uniforms and can attend school excursions, and make sure he's got all of the things that he needs. So that yeah, because I just, yeah, maybe, I don't know, I'm gonna get emotional, so I'm gonna stop talking about that. Yeah, so apart from that, everything else is going really, really well. I can't believe how much my body has changed so quickly this time around. I will show you the bump right away. Let me show you the bump, hang on. So this is my bump. As you can see, it's quite large. It's not really coming up on camera, and I haven't had any lunch yet, so I haven't eaten since breakfast. I had a cup of tea, and that's it. And so normally my belly is even bigger than this. By the end of the day, it's kind of, yeah, but I'm really, yeah, it's staying sort of like, I do have a bit of more like chunk on here as well. But yeah, I can't believe it. Let me move back a little bit. I can't believe just how I can't believe how much my body has expanded and changed already. We have found out the sex, and I'm not going to be sharing it just yet. I might do a gender reveal, I'm not sure. That was one good thing about having that Harmony test, is that you do find out the sex. So I'm we're very happy with the result of that, and that was one really nice thing to come out of that whole situation as well. And so another little symptom that I have been having is, I'm assuming it's because of all the relactin in, is that what you call it? The hormone that kind of loosens all your muscles and ligaments up. I have got a pinched nerve in my bum. Not allowed to go walking, definitely not allowed to push a pram, definitely not allowed to walk up hills, and that seems to be helping. But she also said that because my belly has expanded so quickly and it's quite big, that's just put everything out of whack, and probably my pelvic floor isn't engaging correctly in the mornings. It's like the opposite. I don't have incontinence, like I find it really hard to empty my bladder. I'm sure that's a fairly common pregnancy thing. But yeah, so because of that, she said like your pelvic floor, even though you're not incontinent, it's weak, so that heaviness of the baby and is like pushing down on your pelvic floor, and obviously the pelvic floor, the front, is connected to the tendons and the ligaments at the back. So that explains why I'm having this ligament pain in my lower back. So she sent me off to the physio to do some strengthening stuff. I've got some exercises that I need to do. Luckily, I've got my Fit Mummy Project app as well. So I've got to do pelvic floor strengthening for pregnancy, and I'm also doing some glute and upper back strengthening specific stuff that's all safe for pregnancy. So we'll see how that goes. After our little thing with the scan, like I'm thinking, well, that's no big deal. I can deal with that. Around a month ago, Rolly and I both got Fitbits. And this is so good. I absolutely love it. I can't believe I haven't had one before. And if you didn't know something about me, I don't count calories, I don't diet. It's been a long time since I've owned scales. I don't really weigh myself, except when I'm pregnant, because I really find, not from a point of view of like how much weight have I put on or anything, but I really find it really fascinating the way the body changes. So having this Fitbit and the app that goes with it, it tells me how many calories I've burned, how many steps I've done, what my heart rate is, how much sleep I've had, how many active minutes I've done. And it's just been really fascinating to see the changes just even in the last month as my pregnancy continues. And how much sleep I'm getting and everything like that. And interestingly enough, Rolly doesn't do that many more steps than me, and he works, and I'm just at home with Max most of the time. So if you are a stay-at-home mum and you've got toddlers at home and you're back and forth to the park, back and forth to the kitchen getting snacks and hanging out the washing and going to the groceries and things like that, you are probably fairly active. I average about 9,000 steps, and that is without any set exercise. The most set exercise I do is take the dog for a walk around the park, and that takes me 20 minutes. So I'm really interested. I might do towards the end of my pregnancy, or maybe soon after the baby comes, I might do a full update on how things have changed and how my body has progressed in regards to the Fitbit and how much sleep and everything like that. And it'll be interesting as well to see in those weeks, like when I'm postpartum, how quickly things decline, or whether that calorie needs actually do increase with breastfeeding, whether it registers all that and everything. But yeah, so it's pretty interesting. So yeah, if you're interested to find out a little bit more about that, make sure you subscribe so that you can stay updated. Yeah, so in terms of pregnancy update videos, I don't think I'm going to do weekly. I might do monthly, but I'm probably more likely just going to do trimesters. I will leave it there. If you have any questions or want to know more, or have any similar stories or things to share about your pregnancies, I would absolutely love to know. Thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate you taking the time. I know as busy mums, we don't always have the time to sit down. So if you're having a cuppa with this video, I hope you've enjoyed that cuppa. You deserve it. And thank you, and I will talk to you soon. Love you guys. Bye. Mwah.